We've now reached a crossroads with the weapons and the technology and the huge population and all the rest of it, where you have an elite that has passed on its class envy. You're like, well, wait, the elite has class envy? Yes, against the middle class. So they're playing the giant unwashed masses off against the middle class, pressure from below with the elites above. That's their admitted plan. Zbigniew Brzezinski's written books admitting it. He's one of their top gophers, one of their top planners, one of their top generals. And so they've got all these different disparate groups filled with class envy, chips on the shoulders, you name it. None worse than the white knight social justice warriors who just want to see Rome burn, even though these fat, soft, stupid people don't even know how to throw a punch, folks. And I watch them just beat up the Trump people. They just stand there and let them beat them up. I mean, I don't know who is wimpier, but all I know is that is scary looking to me. I don't know what they've done. Is it TV? Is it the culture? Is it modern industrial sickness, like space sickness? I don't know. We're going to go to callers at the start of the next segment. Phones are loaded. Crystal, Shane, Billy, Andrew, Joseph, and others. This is a short segment, long segment coming up. Other points, Matt Braggins, I know you got caught up with a break, of enemiesforeignanddomestic.com that you want to make. And then also any rays of hope you see out there.
Well, if anybody goes to my Amazon reviews, you know, one of the most common things is that I saw this coming a long time ago. First book is about a false flag operation blaming, you know, right-wing militias for a massacre. Second book is about the Southwest splitting apart, the country basically fracturing. The third book, the country's completely fractured. Foreign peacekeepers are brought in because American National Guard won't fire on Americans sufficiently well. But you kind of get the idea of what I think could be ahead is not a very rosy scenario. I wish I could be just writing genre fiction, you know, the spies or adventure type of novels, but time is short and we have to stay on the actual message because the water is going out and we have to be that kid that's warning everybody that the tsunami is coming. And we can't reach everybody, but we can reach a lot of people. A hopeful sign I've seen in the last couple of weeks, a little bit of is emerging above the surface, this fight between two Navy SEAL admirals. They're talking right now about a fairly parochial issue, but there's a lot of hate and discontent and tension among the flag ranks. And I'm waiting for somebody, an honorable general or admiral, to be as honorable as Colonel David Hackworth was. He was a battlefield commission in Korea as a kid. You know, he did not go to West Point. He was one of the, I think, the youngest colonel in Army history in Vietnam. He wrote the book About Face. He went on national news shows and said, the way we're fighting the war can't be won. We're being lied to. He basically took his uniform off and threw away his career out of a sense of honor, duty, honor, country, you know, integrity, the core values. And I'm not seeing that from our current generals. There are generals, and we can go by their assigned duty stations. We know who was on duty during Benghazi. We know. We know who was in Stuttgart. We know who saw all the flash traffic. If you've seen the movie 13 Hours, they allude to it. There are commandos on runways ready to go and save the little, you know, besieged Alamo in Benghazi. Until then, we have always gone to save the Alamos. In this case, we didn't, because the president wanted the, you know, a few weeks from the election, he didn't want a possible Black Hawk Down scenario.
You also wanted weapons transferred. You wanted weapons transferred into
just hide it. Just Syria. Let that thing be overrun. Just let it be overrun. The terrible breach of faith. And there are generals and there are admirals that know that we're undergoing a cultural Marxist destabilization. You know, transgender military, hello? Can you say good order and discipline? If you were trying to destroy a military, make it combat ineffective, ruin its morale, drive out the best soldiers and sailors, this is what you would do. So why aren't, you know, I look at some of the famous generals that are always on TV on the Sunday morning shows, you know, even Petraeus, come on, salvage your honor, General. Write the memoir now while it makes a difference. Don't punk out and write your memoir.
I agree. Stay there. But it's even beyond honor. You would do it for honor, my friend, Mr. Bracken. These guys need to understand it's end of the line. You're going to get screwed over. All these globalists are screwing each other. See, they claim they're going to honor each other, but there's no honor among thieves. That's why it's so dangerous. And they're starting to figure that out, which makes them steal even faster, which accelerates the collapse that much quicker. Whoa. Stay with us. But the Nazis were carrying out the latest civilization control technologies the world had. They envisioned the 10-member EU that would expand in other countries. They wrote and talked about how they would put chemicals and things in food to slowly dumb down and poison populations before finally wiping them out, soft kill. They adopted from the Soviets, when they had to deal with them splitting Poland, they let them in and taught them how they put in up to 10 parts or higher per million of hydrofluorosilicic acid in the water. That's in like Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, folks. That was in the Nuremberg trials. They would put basically acid-based fluoride, weaponized fluoride, in the water to make people docile and also lower fertility. And then we adopted that. Our 68 Gun Control Act is taken, except for 5 or 6 words, whole cloth. Senator Dodd, the late Senator Dodd, who was on the Nuremberg trial, and changed her 68 Gun Control Act. So I guess the Hugo Boss black uniforms or something, our elites thought that was really sexy, and they got 34 to 36,000, the numbers vary, in the rat line of Nazis over here to run basically everything. The intelligence agencies, plus they were on very short leashes and lived on military bases. Klaus Barbie, you'll run South America with the CIA, and this guy, you'll run NASA, and this is what they did. And my grandfather had been in World War II as a fighter pilot, and he would be as a lease hound out at oil fields and things, work for an oil company, and he'd have to go to a military base to get a chicken fried steak, and it would be like guys in there shooting their mouths off. Oh, we really kicked your ass in World War II. We'll kick your ass now. There'd be fights and stuff because that's how arrogant these people were. But see, it's our elites, ladies and gentlemen. It's our elites that are the ones that are so sick-minded they're doing this, the Tuskegee experiment, all the rest of it. But think about it. I mean, I remember being a kid, hearing my grandfather talk about all the damn Nazis, at military bases after World War II and how much he hated them. And my mom would just go, he's a little eccentric, but, it was all true. So that's what I'm getting at here is George Soros is a weird freakazoid Nazi collaborator that helped round up thousands of people. He goes on 60 Minutes and says he's not ashamed of it, and the ADL gives him an award. With these people, it's all about perversion. Like, to give a Jewish Nazi collaborator an award for being a Nazi war criminal, they think is really cute. Then they call Donald Trump a Nazi. The ADL came out this weekend and said, yeah, you're like a Nazi saying America first. Nationalism is Nazi. See, I mean, at a certain point, you're like, shut up. Don't try to import Nazism onto me when you're into it up your eyeballs. Anyways, I'm ranting. I want to go to these phone calls. Please sign up for our free newsletter, exclusive articles, exclusive videos, things like that, because it's so easy for them to censor our platforms now. And a lot of times I'm sending exclusive videos and articles out just to the folks on email. It's one of the few areas we're deficient. We never really promoted or pushed. And now with all the censorship coming in, all the experts say go low, high tech. This is the equivalent of shortwave radio of the future. So Infowars.com/newsletter. I want to go to calls here. Matt Bracken, a lot of amazing points. Enemiesforeignanddomestic.com. How do people get in contact with you? Tell us about some of your books. I mean, let's do a plug for all things Enemiesforeignanddomestic.com.
Yeah, my first 3 books are part of a trilogy. They take place in different places. Only a few characters hold over from one to the other, but they sort of follow an evolutionary narrative. The second one is the one that's taking place in the Southwest. It looks like a lot of it's coming true today with the big street riots where people are waving Mexican flags. I've always tried, I guess my novels are really to encourage people to look behind the curtain for the masters of the super elites. I'm not saying that they run everything, but boy, they sure do run a lot, including media. And when you can't trust the media, I mean, we're basically being brainwashed, and most people are completely unaware of it. So it's up to those of us that see around the brainwashing, to try to reach those of us, our friends and family that are reachable, and let them know that this is a very serious time right now, extremely serious. The waves are already heading for the beach from several directions. All this political squabbling, it might seem quaint. In a year or two, people might be saying, can you believe we were worried about whether Hillary or Trump would be elected? As they're gathered around a barrel with trash in it, for a fire. I mean, the elites that are engineering this burning down the house scenario You know, they think that on the other end, no matter what, they're going to come back and be in charge again. And maybe they will, because they'll preserve their wealth through the disaster, through the emergencies. The first Baron Rothschild, he changed his name to that, by the way. It means Red Shield. The first Baron Rothschild, who wasn't really a baron either, he said the time to buy is when the blood is running in the streets. And he made a killing on Waterloo because his messengers got to England first with news of the battle results. You know, these guys use war as a tool, and they plan to outlast everything. But this super cycle might be bigger than even, say, 1914 to 1918. This might be bigger than World War II. We might look in history a century from now and see that World War I and World War II were sort of like precursor shocks to the big earthquake, which is coming now. Because nothing is going to be a bigger societal earthquake than a grid down
scenario. Just briefly, though, you made an astute point about New Zealand, but also Chile. I know a lot of really, really rich people that are going into these mountainous, very beautiful redoubts where they're building their own little mini-cities with their own little towns, with their own imported security forces for what's coming. I mean, I've gone to, elite events where I've been a speaker and things where, there's billionaires, quite a few of them in attendance. And they're going, you need to come with your family to Chile. And they're bugging out down there. They're bugging out to New Zealand. And it is just over the top that I've never seen such a migration out of Israel, out of the U.S. These elites are leaving, and they're going to, like you said, Chile and places also like Australia and other areas, but especially New Zealand. So that shows to me they really think there's a big probability something huge is coming.
Yeah, I see them going for the safe places that they think that, and if they have a number of castles, if they have a number, and not that these are survivalist retreats, but Clooney owns a giant mansion in Los Angeles. He owns a giant mansion in Italy on the water, and he owns a giant mansion in England. So he can move, and he probably owns some things that he doesn't publicly show. And he's just an example. He's only a 200 millionaire. So imagine what the billionaires have for their preparations. And this is more or less directed to young people, younger than me. I wrote something called Get Yourself a 30-Footer and Go. It refers to small, cheap sailboats that you can buy for almost nothing in rehab. If you're a young guy or gal and you're fairly physically fit, and you don't get seasick, and you wish that you had a bug out, that you wish you had a way to get to New Zealand, read my short essay called Get Yourself a 30-Footer and Go, because there are some ways out. Everybody doesn't have to either be stuck in a city.
I was about to say, though, if you're in a big mega city, it's important to live right by the water, and like you said, have an escape boat or a sailboat that's got a motor, but also the sails.
Well, right. When I say sailboat, I'm assuming that it has an inboard diesel that can go for hundreds of miles alone, even with no wind, enough to get you way out of the reach of the cities. But there are ways to prepare, and I think that we have to kind of just give up on the general media. We still follow what they're saying on the networks as if what they're saying is newsworthy, and I think we have to abandon that. I get my own information from websites like yours, Western Rifle Shooters, Gates of Vienna, Vlad Tepes. There are fearless people out there working for nothing. They're not even inside of like a Breitbart type of a company with a salary. They're just doing it out of patriotism. And the information is out there, and the ability to link is super important. I admire Breitbart because they allow links in their comment sections. This might not seem like a significant thing in America, but if you're in Europe where you can be arrested for posting something on Facebook that, hey, I don't like these, all these Muslims pushing their women around, you can be, called in for a talking to in Europe. So being able to spread links that's sort of the modern version of Russian or Soviet samizdat, or the pamphlets of the...
Sure. Well, Zuckerberg, as you know, he's been meeting with the communist Chinese censorship bosses, and they've announced at Silicon Valley meetings they want to get rid of comments altogether because it's just showing no one agrees, and they've already gotten rid of the links. So, yes, these are serious issues we're talking about. I want to have you back in a few weeks again to talk about what the breakdown in cities will probably look like. I know they've done military studies around the world, but within 9-10 days, most people will start murdering for food. Within about 15 to 16 days, 90+% will start becoming cannibals. I mean, we're talking about a Viggo Mortensen road scenario within a month.
Yes.
And people just don't understand that.
A true bottleneck event. I wrote something that was maybe one of my most... It's funny because I'm not like in any of the legit, name brand websites where they have to make sure that you're going to stay on message and not be a loose cannon, not rock